Hi all, this is Almighty and welcome to this video. In the previous video I also shown you a game by Karpov, and in that game, unfortunately for him, he lost the game against Borislav Ivko. It was a game also from this tournament, the international tournament in Caracas of 1970, and today we are actually going to celebrate Karpov a little bit. Because, okay, first of all, after the loss against Ivko, Karpov went on a little bit of a bad streak because he almost also lost a game against Pano and he lost a game against Kavalek. Kavalek went on to win the tournament and Karpov ended up sharing the 4th place. So after those games he kind of composed himself and went on a winning streak, but he also had some draws in there. After the winning streak he had some draws, so he didn't manage to win the tournament, but he managed to win the GM norm, and that was the main goal of this tournament and the future tournaments that he will go to. He wants to become a grandmaster. So to celebrate this, I decided to show you one of the games from that other part of the tournament, and here is a game against Alberto and Caro. So not a known chess player, but I still want to show you this game because it's quite interesting, and Karpov shows a great attacking strength. We have c4, e5, knight to c3, knight to f6, and now e4. Something quite strange from Karpov's side. Usually he wants to enter a blocked position like this, but not immediately. So here he is eyeing this d5 square, most definitely not allowing black to push for it, but on the other hand he allows the build up on the d4 square, which will give black some advantage in the future. So first bishop to c5 was played, g3, knight to c6, bishop to g2, and now d6. So here h3 was played because Karpov wants to play knight to f3 at some point. This will stop bishop to g4. We have castles and d3. Caro has the same idea. He plays h6 to stop bishop to g5, because after d6 there is no way that you can unpin this knight. You would have to play h6 immediately, but after g3 that isn't that big of a threat because bishop to h4 isn't possible. But okay, knight to f3 was played, and now a5, expansion also on the queen side. Also was possible rook to e8 or bishop to e6, just continuing with the development, but Caro wants to expand on the queen side to create chances on both sides of the board. We have castles, and now knight to d4. So the whole idea behind h3 is to stop bishop to g4 and then knight to d4, because there Karpov would have a lot of problems. Here he is allowed just to capture on d4. Bishop captures on d4, and now king to h2, moving out of the way so that f4 can be played. c6, stopping the knight jump on d5, and f4 as planned. King to h7 and queen to f3. So Karpov definitely wants to attack on the king side. Pushing f5 wouldn't make so much difference, definitely also capturing on e5, so Karpov probably has to prepare g4 and then push g5. But in order to do that, Karpov does it in his own style, in his own terms. First, he wants to resolve some issues on the queen side and in the center. So after a4, here he plays a knight to e2. So Caro decides to push on the pawns even further, but Karpov wants to move the knight out of the way so that bishop doesn't capture on c3, and then that black doesn't go all in on the queen side. Here queen to b6. Not the best of moves, probably better was to play bishop to c5 or bishop to b6. You don't threaten anything here, and here Caro played by just rook to b1, and he is stopping any threats here, like pushing a3 or something like that. Here we have bishop to c5 now, and now rook to d1, putting the rook in the center, and this is a typical Karpov move. Not going all in right away with the attack, but first keeping a calm, inch by inch mentality, inch by inch victory. We have knight to e8 and now g4. Idea is push g5. If pawn captures on f4, you can capture with the bishop, and here f6 is played. And now we have bishop to d2. Also an idea, play bishop to c3 at some point. But after knight to c7, there is a threat, knight to e6. And this knight on e6 will be very dangerous, jumping on d4 and f4. So f5 is played. And this is an okay move because essentially you can play h4 and g5 and still open up the position. So nothing is lost there. Nothing is too blocked, so to speak. Rook to d8. And there is a pattern, a theme to Caro's play in this game, because in a couple of occasions now he transfers his pieces to attack in the center and on the queen side, while the attack is obviously going on the king side. But for some reason he doesn't feel that Karpov has too much here, but Karpov will show him otherwise. He plays h4 and Caro plays rook to h8, admitting his mistake. Now we have king to g3 moving out of the h file and king to g8, and now g5 wants to open up right away. H captures on g5 and h captures on g5, and all of a sudden, yeah, the attack is going on. Black is kind of in shambles. All of the pieces, most of the pieces are on the queen side, not actually doing that much, but all of white's pieces are ready to go onto the attack. Here we have king to f7 and rook to h1, attacking the rook. So bishop to d7, connecting the rooks, and now queen to g4. So essentially here cannot do too much to actually stop this. Pawn captures on f6 is the next move. You want to play queen to g6 after that. So here actually rook from a to f8 is played, probably considering playing a king to e7, knight to e8, and then rook to f7 to actually kind of stop all the threats. But after rook captures on h8, rook captures on h8, pawn captures on f6. Caro isn't in time, and Karpov will just continue just attacking. If you capture, this isn't too good because if king goes to e7, then by queen g7 you lose the rook. If you go on f8, you can try and defend, but after this and bishop to h6, you cannot do that much. Once again, king has to go on e7 or rook needs to capture on h6. So Caro is in a losing position here, but he continues to play the game. After pawn captures on f6, he played knight to e8, but now we have queen g6, king to f8, pawn captures on g7. Knight has to capture on g7, and now bishop to h6. You cannot go ahead and defend this knight. If you play rook to g8, f6 is also a move, and then yeah, you cannot add a defender to the defense of g7. So you lose a piece. Instead of that, after bishop to h6, we saw bishop to f2 check, just a check, not doing too much. King played to f3, and in this position Caro resigned the game. You can play something like rook captures on h6 to remove this attacker, but still f6 is a threat. King to f7, here you can play king to f7 and kind of attempt white to play queen to g6. Karpov has to be cautious in the end to not allow queen to e3 check. But okay, Caro did resign the game in this position after king to f3, so Karpov had to go through all of that. So yeah, I decided that I wanted to show you one other game from the Caracas International Tournament, since Karpov did win a GM norm on this tournament. After the end, he didn't win the tournament. He shared the 4th place. Didn't want it to end it up only on that one video where he lost the game against Ivkov. So yeah, later on Karpov will just continue to go on tournaments and win GM norms, and I will cover most of that in my next videos. So that being said, I would like to thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time.